Carnivore diet update. May 22nd, 2024, and it's my neighbor's birthday, but that's neither here nor there. I have texted her about it before, so she knows that it's on my mind. I'm just like self-conscious to over-text people, especially people who never initiate conversation with me. So it's like, am I bothering this person? Anyway, winch, my waistline is 36 inches. If I tack it all the way in, I do still feel bloated. And what I've been eating is bacon bits, which is basically bacon, but like the cutouts, the scraps. I don't know why I can't speak. Bacon scraps because it's cheaper. I highly recommend that. If you like bacon and you like to stretch $1, bacon bits are your friend. Because where I buy them, I live in Southern California. Where I buy them, they are like $3.50 a pound. Am I wrong? Oh my gosh, don't make me look this up. Because now, as we walk to the fridge, as we lay, we forgot. Okay, there. $5 a pound? I feel like they went up. Oh my gosh, everything went up. Okay. I don't know why I thought they were $3.50. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, and another grocery store close by also was like charging them, I think, was charging $7, I think, a pound, which I feel like was still not a bad idea because normally, like regular bacon at Walmart, which is not where I bought these, I think it's like $5 for like, I don't know if it's 8 ounces. Anyway, just to give you that tip. And I'm still drinking tea because some of the things that I have here in the house are not exclusively carnivore. However, I'm working my way towards being 100% carnivore. We're still in our first month. So bacon bits is what I've been eating, and ground beef, eggs, and lots of butter. With every cup of tea, I would have a tablespoon of butter. I've been constipated since the previous day. Well, since the day before and yesterday, where I have had liver and cheese. And I think that combination, not just the combination, I think every single one of those things do tend to make me constipated. I mean, look at liver. I'm not talking about chicken liver, I'm talking about beef liver. It's just, for me, some foods, like I just look at them and I know they're going to clog up the system from how completely dense they are. Just like sometimes when I used to eat carbs, I haven't really been a carb eater for years. Whenever I would look at a plate of pasta, I would be like, I mean, this is obviously going to go and, clog up the system. Why wouldn't it? For me, personally, 97 kilograms on the scale. This is the first time that I've gotten on the scale and I'm not up in weight in a very long time. there's something about my body and the scale, like the number is going to be up versus the last time, no matter how good I've been, no matter what I cut out or whatever. And I hate to say that because obviously that's negative, but it's been my experience. So it's nice to see the number at least stay the same as it was the previous day. Some of the things that I've been eating lately, which I don't know if which I don't know if they're a good idea, for my weight loss. I would like to be those people on the internet who are on Carnivore who eat as much as they want. They don't care about calories and they will lose. I'm trying to figure out if that system is for me, because there is a school of thought on the internet as well of people, which means in the world, right, who believe you still have to count your calories. Some people will say you don't have to count your calories, and then they will show you what they eat. And some will say, okay, and then when you see what they eat, you realize that they actually only eat once a day. So if you were to count the calories on that plate, it's still not as much as what you would have eaten had you eaten 3, 4, 5 times a day. You know what I mean? And some people will say, you don't have to count your calories, just eat once a day, which, of course, that's transparent. But you get what I'm saying? And I don't know, I feel like for some people it's easy to just eat once a day. They'll be like, just eat once a day. And I'm like, well, I mean, I wish I could. So those of the things that I'm thinking are probably not excellent for my digestion system, as well as, my weight, are lots of heavy cream. Because people on the internet are like, I don't even count, calories. I don't do a tablespoon each or measure a quarter cup or whatever. I just drink it right off the thing. And I'm like, oh, could you imagine a life where you just eat as much as you want, and the next meal you eat as much as you want again, and then you get on the scale and you lose weight? Just hearing myself say that makes me almost sad, to be honest, because I don't think that that's me, but we're still early on in the game. Let us see. So I'd been eating the heavy cream. It's starting to taste funny, so I'm probably going to throw out the rest of it. And the bacon bits that I've mentioned, I think all that salt in bacon. And also sometimes I wonder in bacon, because it does taste like there's a little bit of sugar in there. Definitely American bacon. Because I think American food in general, there's way more sugar across the board, even in things that where I come from in Africa. It's like, wow, I don't know if we would have added sugar into this, but there's that thing. And I don't want to start a whole tinfoil situation / conspiracy situation, but I think that because sugar is addictive, I think that's the American way of trying to get people hooked. It's business. You want people to continue to crave what you're selling. You want to get them hooked one way or another, right? Just putting that out there. And so my stomach's been upset and bloated, like I said, and I have had to, the last couple of days, unfortunately, to use a suppository. This is not a health podcast, so I don't want you to take what I'm saying as, I'm not recommending any of the things unless, you want to stretch it all, then of course buy the things that I'm recommending wherever you want to buy them, etc., etc. At least look into them. But I'm telling you about my experience. So suppositories is like, is it glycerine? Glycerine type of cone-shaped things that you stick up your bum, and then they dissolve there, making it hopefully possible for you to go. So I've had to do that a couple times. For other people, it's better to work the system from the top, not from the bottom. No pun intended, in which, do what you have to do. Some people will take fiber I don't know if that's animal product. Okay, I'm being sarcastic. Which, do what you have to do, I guess. What else has been going on? Does anyone else on this program or not on this program, I'd like to hear from you, have that tickle in the throat feeling? I don't know what to call it, but I think that I'm not saying it right, because whenever I've looked it up on the internet, I've always gotten the results that are like, wait, is this what I'm talking about? I don't think this is what I'm talking about. Usually when I'm asleep, it's always when I'm asleep. Once in a blue moon I'll have it. I've had it over the years just randomly, so I've not really been able to pinpoint it, but I've been getting it a lot more recently, where on one side of the throat, it feels like something is climbing up, trying to make its way to the back of the throat. Wait, that doesn't make sense. From like your collarbone, but inside the throat, and you're making your way up towards the mouth or the opening of the throat, uvula, whatever, that area. It just feels like something it feels like it's spit. And man, it'll make me cough, obviously, because it's irritating. Cough so much, and it always happens in my sleep. I would like to know what the heck that causes, but I've noticed that it happens a lot recently. When I've looked it up, I heard, what's the word? GERD? What's that? What's GERD? Anyway, there is a word. And then I've also heard that it's not sinus, but it's something it's a post-nasal drip. I'm like, this thing is not dripping. Dripping is something like going down. Can you drip upwards? That's not how it feels. That's why I feel like I'm not looking it up right. I have been able to, yes, I've been eating as much as I want, but I've been able to do 2 meals and then I'll be fine. But I also have been going to bed really early and getting up, like I'm talking about 2 a.m. and I'm noticing that I'm getting up even earlier. Normally my time's like 5 a.m. That's just how my body clock has been throughout my life. Then it was like 4, so it's going further and further earlier. And I'm like, where are we going with this? Am I going to end up at a point where I'm sleeping throughout the day and awake at night? Which, that would be cool, but I need sunlight for my own mental health. I have a bunch of cheese here that I was given by someone. So because I'm concerned about cheese in my progress and in my digestive system, I might have to throw out some. So what I've been doing is, because I also like cheese, it's like this weird thing. And also, being from Africa, or maybe it's not being from Africa, but just being raised with the, should I call it guilt, of being told like they're starving kids in, I won't name the country, but there were particular countries. There was one particular country that would always be quoted. I guess that's what was being shown in the news at the time. So you would feel bad about throwing away food. But also I've done like just about every diet program. One of the programs that I've tried before, back in the day, we were told, don't be afraid to throw away food, because it's either you throw it away or you use your body as a trash can, which that resonated with me so much more than being told they're starving kids. So eat something that it's like guilt tripping me into eating something. That's just like, what are you talking about? So yeah, I have that thing of, do I want to use my body as a trash can? Because I'm struggling so much to lose weight throughout my life, on and off. So if I'm going to eat all of these things because someone else is starving, I'm not feeding that person by eating it. I'm the one eating it. Where's the logic in this? And it's not like I'm going to fly to Africa to give them the rest of this eaten cheese or whatever, the case may be in your case. You know what I'm saying? And then after I've eaten all of this, I'm going to have to try and lose all this extra weight now that this would have been avoided. That's been my thought process. It's not a popular opinion, obviously, but what I've been doing is if I eat a slice of cheese, I'll cut two slices, eat one, throw away the other half. The other, like the second, and then next time. So I'm just like trying to meet myself halfway between the guilt and not wanting to use my body as a trash can. Just sidebar, speaking of trash cans. No, I'm kidding. I work for myself, right? So I have a couple of eBay stores where I sell clothing and shoes. That's my main source of income. And I just remembered that this time of the month, I try to move funds from my business account where eBay sends me funds to my personal account because I pay myself a paycheck monthly. I don't know what your system is if you're self-employed, especially if you are like not a solopreneur per se, but if you are a very small business like I am. Do you have a system, or do you take money directly from the business account and just pay, the bills? What if you want to do play things like eating out, which is not something that I really do. I make a very limited amount of money. I'm just thankful and lucky that I'm able to pay all of my bills from this income. And I've been able so far to travel, which is the only thing that I do other than pay bills with the money. Yes, it's a big deal because it's amazing how many more people wish they could and believe that they can't. I'm using the word believe that they can't because who knows if they actually can't, or it's just a belief system. You know what I mean? Because I just feel like, as far as financially is concerned, anything that I can do with my funds, including paying all of my bills, because there's a lot of people out there who are working who don't pay all of their bills, whether they believe that they cannot or they really can't. I don't know. Just cut down on your, and not to sound insensitive, but this is how I see it. Cut down on your expenses. If it's not working with the job that you have, and it's not that much easy. I feel like it's an easier thing to manage to cut down your expenses than it is to tell somebody, get a better paying job. You don't just get a better paying job. Somebody has to offer it to you. Sometimes you have to qualify. Sometimes, it's location, it's this, that, and the other. So I just feel like if staying in this high rise means that you can't afford to pay all your bills because all the money goes to rent, or you can afford to pay rent, you're going to pay everything else and stay here until they kick you out. Maybe stay in the high rise, but rent a room from somebody instead of having the whole 2-bedroom apartment, because, you know what I mean? That's been my thought process, because throughout my life, that's what I've done. Have I slept on couches to try and manage? Yeah. Have I shared studio apartments to try and live in a convenient location, such as when I was a struggling, aspiring actress? Yeah, I've shared my studio apartment with people, like strangers, obviously, because I don't really know other people in life. Yeah, and we would split that bill. That would mean that I was able to sleep good at night. Well, sleeping with a stranger in the same room, but as good as you could sleep. No, I'm kidding. I was fine because I cut down. So someone else doesn't think that that's an option. Like, what? You're living in a studio and you're sharing it. That's not an option. And then you're telling me I'm not going to be able to afford this, that, and the other. With the minimal money that I make, I feel like it's minimal or minimum, from my eBay stores, my overhead is very low because I own my own home. Yeah, everybody cannot just own their own home, but I do right now, and I'm thankful. Well, not right now, I do, period. And so I don't, there's no mortgage that I have to worry about. But I also live in California, so you got those property taxes going on and other things of just being taxed because you're Californian. I'm not saying people in other states don't pay property taxes. I'm just saying it's not a cheap state to live in, but I love California, and let me have this one thing, right? So, yeah, all that to say, towards the end of the month, sometimes I haven't made enough money to transfer to my personal paycheck, and I'll just move a big chunk of it, depending on what credit cards are due, coming up, because we still need to have enough money in that business account to pay for business expenses. The main one for me being an eBay seller or reseller, I still don't know what the difference is there, is shipping, right? So, yeah, that's basically a long-winded note to myself. I'd like to hear what others do. There is a book that I read that after reading it inspired me to use this system of sending a paycheck to myself versus just living off straight of this account. I won't mention names. It's too much. We can talk about that some other time. Also, I kind of am enjoying the system and I'm testing it out. We shall see how it's going to fare, towards the end of the year. And I think it's also a good way to see if the business is actually the one that's sustaining me, or somehow am I lying to myself. I have some funds in my savings account that earn decent interest. It's a high yield savings account. So, that's going to be my backup. Not just the funds themselves, hopefully, but the interest that I earn there will have to kick in should need be. Knock on wood. And just one last thing before I let you go. Going to therapy has been, of course, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. But it's been, I don't know if eye-opening. Because you're living your life. There are things that are low vibration that are taking place throughout your life. And you feel, anxious around certain situations that are familiar in your life. Especially around the family dynamic. So that structure is consistent in your life, right? And you just know, you can't talk about certain things around certain people, or you can't be fully yourself in certain dynamics within this structure, just to give an example. And now you're going to therapy and you're just talking. And then you find out there's nothing unique about what you just described. Actually, that is textbook this and that. And there's a name for these things. For me, that has been so mind-blowing because it's comforting, right? Because you're not this weird person who can't put your finger on something, but you just know that when you see that there's a notification in your texts or whatever, you have absolute anxiety. You're so scared because the only people that you talk to are your family members. But you have anxiety because what is this going to be about? And these are not your enemies. It could be a text. It could be good news. Of course, that's a possibility. But for whatever reason, you get anxiety to the point of you've turned off the notifications and you check in with yourself first. Am I in a fit enough, or at least semi position, to hear whatever could be coming out of this person's mouth? And these are your closest people in life. And you can't even talk to anybody about it. Because you yourself don't even know what this is. But you just know that to protect yourself, you have to do these things. And you skip days where you look into this. And you don't look at that messaging app in the middle of the night because it can ruin your you sleep, depending what they say, because of how they tend to be careless with their manner of talking to you or maybe talking to other people. You don't know, right? You don't really know. And then you just like freely expressing to your therapist, and the therapist is like, yeah, that is called this. And you're like, whoa, this is a thing? And not only the fact that it has things, the things have names, it's all like bad things, which is freaking me out, making me feel like is everything that I've known about the core of who I am, which is, my immediate family. Not a lie, but have I been in this toxic dynamic? I don't even want to say that word. Throughout my life, and I had no idea. All these decades. Has everybody known? Am I the last one to know? Am I the first one to know? And everybody is still in the dark. Like, what is happening? Should I stop seeing this therapist because they're ruining my life? Does my therapist actually hate my family and they're trying to alienate? You start to think all these things. Now you're gaslighting everybody around this situation to try and protect, like, the reality that you've created for yourself, because you like, what's the best course of action in order for me to continue to feel what has been consistent in my life, and for me to continue to feel what I've perceived as safe. But now you're like, was that safety fake? Was it a house of cards? Is it time to... Let me tell you what. This is going to be something that I'm going to... I just don't see myself at any point... I don't even know how to finish the sentences because it's such a hard thing to process. I'm like, am I going to get to a point ever in this lifetime where I will have processed this and all of this would have made sense? Who else is going through something like this or has gone through it? Who has some words of wisdom? Help a sister out. It's one of, yeah. And it's like, how many hours can I just talk to this therapist until I feel better? Because you're talking and you keep looking at the clock, and at some point you're unraveling everything that you've always known in your life and whatever in a matter of minutes. And then you're going to have to cut it off and see when you can get your next appointment while you're out here reeling. It's like, is this a good idea to open up this can of worms or words even? Because now I'm leaving myself completely open and vulnerable. And I have to wait until my next appointment, whereby maybe, the therapist might cancel last minute. Like, what are we doing? How is this a good idea? But we already started. Let's stick it through, because I've postponed going to therapy knowing that I needed it throughout my life up until now, and we're finally doing it. So put your back into it and keep going. On that sour note, I think we've done a nice roundup on life. I was going to say according to Brooke, but baby, I don't even know it's according to me, because I'm like, do I have any control over any of this? We shall soon find out. If you want to check out my blog, it's babalabrooke.com. I've had it for 10 plus years. Talk a little bit about life in Africa, life in Eastern Europe, and life in America, amongst other things, relationships and whatever. I feel like I said whatever weirdly. And we have a YouTube channel. If you're not listening to this on there, it's youtube.com/Babalabrook. Everything is under Babalabrook. And I'm going to put a link to, I'm going to put a link to all my links. That sounds weird. If you care, you can check them out. We do have a Patreon for this podcast. If you like to support the movement, I tend to post unedited content on there. Sometimes you'll find that there was a little editing necessary on a podcast, so it may be exactly the same as what was in the original thing. I just put it out there for anyone who would like to support this initiative. It's there. We start from $5 a month, which you can do just one $5 thing, or you can do continuous until you want to stop, or whatever. It's entirely up to you. Like I said, it's just for whoever wants to support, that it's there. But there's absolutely no pressure. Please come back and let's just talk here on the free show. Fine by me. I just want to reach out to people who I want to form camaraderie. Why do I start these words that I don't even know how they end? With people who feel the way I do about things. And I have a lot of feelings about a lot of things. Thank you for listening. TTYL.